Good morning. So today my only plan is my only real plan is MRIN for a potential short into 450 area, and I have a back burner because it's not a perfect setup. I'll review those real quick. So MRIN, what I'm looking at is I want a morning spike into the 450 area at least, so I can start shorting with ultimate risk on 5. And the reason for that is if it spikes to 450 area, it would get to here from yesterday. So if it spikes today and it starts getting to the 450 area, that's this consolidation area here. And the reason for that is because of the volume that took place during this consolidation. So this is why I like to start in short here, because you don't know if it's going to continue due to the bag holders that are in from these levels. So once it gets to here, it should start to have trouble, and then you could take a potential starter short in this 450 area, and your ultimate risk is on 5 just to see how it's reacting in this area. And ideally what would happen, what would like be the ideal case, is if it spikes to this 4.8 area and then you get a chance to add here. So now if you shorted small at 450, 1/6 of your size at 450, and then you start adding 3/6 or 4/6 of your size in this 480 area, your average is going to be in the 470s, risking 5. So that's not bad for a $5 stock on your risk. And when it starts to reject, that's when you move your risk down to where it rejected. So like if it rejects here in 487 and has a hard reject, that's where your new risk is. So that's what I'm looking at for today on MRIN. And then if we go over to Riot, the reason why this is a back burner is it could be a potential short into low 3 area, but not enough volume traded at that level for me to be comfortable if I'm shorting. So what that means is if it starts to spike into this resistance here, where it has roughly 5 million shares of volume on this day, and it topped at 311. This day topped at 333, and it had 2.7 million shares of volume. So that's what I mean by the volume's not enough for me to be comfortable shorting into these levels, but it is a potential watch just to see how it reacts in these areas, because maybe that could be a lesson for the next play. The most ideal thing for this is if it breaks these levels and starts running maybe to the 5 area, and that could be a potential short tomorrow or the next day if it has a nice big run like this day. But you need it to be a bigger run and less consolidation during it, because that'll make it come down faster. So that's all I'm watching for now, and once the market opens, I'll continue recording. So this ADIL is it could be a potential short this morning too, because it's really the only one that has some spiking going on pre-market. The levels to short into would be in these low 4 area to 5. So your range is roughly 70 cents a share. You could take a starter short at 430, maybe 440 area. If it starts to fail before this, then I'm likely just going to miss it, because it's difficult to start shorting in the 370s and risk 5 in the beginning. But if it starts to show signs where my risk could be this 440 area, then shorting in the 4s, in low 4s, is okay. But for now, I would want this to spike to at least 430, 440, and take a starter short there, risking 5. So we got to see how it reacts. But the potential downside on this is not that much, especially if it doesn't run enough. So that's why I'm not really gonna make a plan on this yet, but I'm watching it for if it can do something crazy. But it's only up 20%. Gotta see what it like tells me once the real volume comes in. But as of now, it's just something to keep an eye on, but nothing that important. And I almost forgot to mention, I do have shares for MRIN with Trade Zero, and just gotta see. It's easy to borrow right now at Trade Zero, so we gotta see what it does. Right now, no volume, and we don't really know if this is even gonna spike, but that's why you just watch it, and if it doesn't work, then you move on to the next play. Alright, so we got 1 second left, and now we're open. Let's see what happens. MRIN, I'm watching in the background. I want it to spike more, but it's at 360 still. Yeah, so if I start seeing the price move up, then I'll be interested, but It's way too low to short here. ADIL, this is the back burner, but it has volume, so let's just watch this and see what happens. Alright. We have the 1 minute up. If you're finding yourself emotional on the open and you like really feel like you want to get in, one thing you could do is switch to a 2-minute chart. 2-minute chart will make it look like less stuff is going on and your emotions are less likely to take advantage. Yeah, this thing's not doing anything. It's stuck in a range. See why this is a back burner is it's just like way too choppy, and it's hard to time something like this. So I'm just watching it right now because it's like the only thing moving. But here we have MRIN is coming down a little. It's still not the setup I was looking for. It did crack the low here, but it would be much better if it just bounces a little more and gives a nice opportunity in the mid fours. So far, slow open. I have my plans. I have shares to short, but I'm not tempted yet because nothing's really giving a good entry. On the top gainers, ADIL has the highest volume. It's not really moving. Today just may be another day where we don't need to trade. This is the other back burner I had for a potential short into this area, but I'm not gonna take it if it does get here. Just an idea to look back at and use for future reference. I don't know if you saw my previous video, but there's one thing we can review is ADIL on this day. I actually had a plan to short it, so let's go over that. I put it in here. You see December 13th, that's here. You see it at the bottom. And I wrote in pre-market, ADIL having a nice bounce in pre-market, hoping it can keep going after open to make a plan to short. No plan yet. That was before the open here. So it was in like the under 3 area. And then when it opened, I said looking at 390 to 4 area for potential short. So the reason for this is, so I was writing these plans here, and while it was spiking in this area, and I was looking at the fours because you could see that on these 2 days here in the beginning, this one didn't have that much volume, so it's not that ideal to short into. That's why I guess it squeezed the next day. But here you can see that it had some more volume in the morning here, and it topped at the low fours. Okay, and the next day it broke that because it's not that significant. But when it came back down and held this area, it's telling you that this 4 area is a little significant, and what you do with that is that's why it could be a potential starter short in the 390 to 4 area, because that's where this whole consolidation area was struggling. And the initial risk was 5 because that's where it topped here. And what you do, like I usually say, is you wait for that hard rejection, and wherever it rejects and gives you that proof that that's the resistance, that's where you move your risk to. So during this time, I wasn't looking to short because I knew that my risk was in the 5 area. So you don't want to be shorting near 3 because it's going to throw your risk off significantly. So what you would do is you wait for it to get to 390 area, so you could take a potential starter here, and into this low fours 450 area you could start shorting. But it was in the afternoon, and here was during midday, so it was making it a little not the best odds, and it was also bunching up. So if you did take this into the 390s, you would cover into this dip because ideally, if you've been trading this setup, you would see that it's holding in this area or in this area, so you would start to take profits. But when it comes back up, you shouldn't be touching it anymore, because now it's like really choppy. It's setting more support levels, some basing, and yeah, that's why I didn't short it. But as we could see, if I was shorting risking 5, I would have it would have been a good trade, and coulda, woulda, shoulda, but it's okay. You use that as a lesson. Write it down, and I mean that's what my lessons are from this, is that my risk was a good risk level, and even though it was very choppy, it still worked out. So maybe you can track this and use it for future plays, and yeah, benefit your trading like that. But yeah, if you want to see the whole plan on how I played out, I was writing the plan in pre-market here, and I even wrote during market hours. I wrote the rest of the plan, and it was all live on the previous video, so make sure you go check that out. But here's ADIL doing nothing still. It's basing. It's not really a play anymore right now. MRIN is trying to make a comeback. It needs more volume though. The volume's fading a little, just grinding up. It needs more volume and a bigger spike, and that's where you start getting interested. Yeah, at least it is 450, 430, 450. And I have shares for all of these, so I'm not being impulsive and keeping my mind relaxed. No volume at all. How much did it even trade? Look, not even 100,000 shares of volume today. That killed that play. Alright, well, it looks like I'm gonna be cutting this video soon, but I'll leave it. I'll give it a few more minutes if anything starts to happen. MRIN, we're getting a little push out of it, but as you can see, still the volume is very low. So I'm still hoping we get some more volume increasing and try to get it up to these 450 areas. We're getting a little more volume, but I'm still not getting like excited yet, because I mean this could just stuff right now. So we wanted to get to those levels before starting in. As we can see here, MRIN is halted. That was a pretty nice spike, but we still have 300,000 volume. I was getting my order ready actually to shorten the 448 area, so I can get like near that 450 up here, and I was kind of hoping it would spike a little more. It looked like it could do it, because there wasn't many sellers and the buyers were just going crazy. But again, that's why it looks like it got halted. Hoping it unhalts and gets back to this 440 area. If it spikes to here, that's really where I'm looking to start short, very small, maybe 100 shares, maybe 50 shares, because that's my 1/6 position, so that's completely okay. You manage your risk based on the chart, and when you're ready to size up, that's when you size up. But if you're not comfortable, it's always okay to start in small. Let's just wait for this to unhalt, and then I'll continue. Once I saw this failing over 440, like near this 450 area, I put my order in for 441, so gotta see if I get filled for a potential short. I don't think it's gonna pop anymore, but if it starts giving me other signs to start shorting in this area, risking here, then it could be a potential short. But for right now, I'm just gonna watch and see if I can get that 441 starter executed here. We got some volume coming in. This thing looks like it's just not gonna happen. Let's see. Alright, so I got 50 shares executed, 441. Let's see if this can give a place to add 470 and risk 5. That would be the best plan. So let's see what happens. And let me write this down in my setups. This is MRIN, shorted 50 shares starter. I'm glad I caught that execution live, because I can learn from it next time, and you guys can learn from it as well. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. So let's say this thing breaks 5 and starts running, and I cut the loss. That's the outcome. That's the loss. That's fine. If it works out, that's the outcome, and that's the lessons there. So that's what you have to think with every trade. No matter how the outcome comes, no matter how the outcome is, you want to find lessons in those trades and learn from them. So that's why it's important to write down in your plans and whatever. This thing looks like it's starting to hold. I'm not going in for a scalp, but I will start covering soon if we see more holding action in this 420 area. Oh, well, let's see how this starts acting. Now, you should always have your cover orders ready. I didn't get a chance to add yet, but I'm still going to have my order ready. So let's do like 415 for now. Get that ready. And yeah, ready to just cover when the time comes, if it works out. The reason why 415 is because if this level's not cracking, then I could try to get out still with the small profit, but yeah, I'm just gonna cover here. Confirm. Let's see where I filled. Filled at 415. Let's see. Oh wow, nice. Filled at 412. All right. So there you go. That was a live trade. I made $14.50, which is completely fine. Because look, 50 shares, I made $14. 100 shares, you make $28. And then if you multiply that by 1,000 shares, you end up with $280 on the same exact trade with more size. But that's why you need to start small. You need to practice. You need to get this methodical approach going, and then once you do, that's the that's the game. That's how it works. So I'm very happy that I got this trade on camera, and I am this is the first trade I made in this account, so happy about that. It's been 3 days already where I had shares for all the shorts that I was looking for, and they didn't work out, so I didn't trade, and that's completely fine. And on the third day, which is today, it was the trade that worked. So those 2 days of patience is paying off, and you keep doing that over and over, and it's completely okay that it's 50 shares, because look, when you get used to it, when you get used to entering, you know what I mean? You got a 441 entry. If this thing fades off for the rest of the day and breaks under 4, then your entries are on point, and you need to use that for next lesson. Like right now, I just covered at 412 because I saw it at 405. That's fine, because let's say it starts ripping. Now I use that as a lesson, because if I start seeing, I saw this level crack, but it looks like it's fake, so I started covering here. And when I started seeing that, you can start noticing when it looks fake. When it doesn't look like how you've seen other supports crack, that usually means it's there to make people confused, and it's there to squeeze shorts. So I covered here, and so far it looks like it was a good idea to use for next time. But yeah, that's just how you do every single trade. You use every lesson that you can find in those trades and use it for next time. that was a pretty quick trade. You know, make 30 cents almost. That's a good trade. You know, if you could do that over and over and over and over, then that's your path to success. 50 shares. I used $250. It's completely fine. I still have the stats. And then when the trade is over, you write it down here and you say covered starter 412. Looked like basing action was taking place, so I'll take small profits on my starter. Be conservative. And this right here, who do you think I'm talking to? Be conservative. Myself. In the future, when I see this trade and I see that I took small profits, I see that it was a good thing. So here, be conservative. Keep it up. And if I have trouble finding out what conservative means, I can rewatch this video. That's why I do this. That's why I write it down. I'm going to put this trade in the spreadsheets now, and I'm going to use that for the next trade. This is my only trade since October. Okay? I haven't traded because the setups were not there, the ones I've been testing and the ones I've been preparing for. They weren't there, so it's completely okay to just sit on the sidelines for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it takes. And that's, you know, you learn patience through those conservative times where you're not making any trades. You're learning lessons. As long as you're writing down your plans, your ideas, how they play out, then you're learning lessons basically to the best you can do, you know? So if you keep doing that over and over, that's where consistency comes from. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned some lessons, because as you can see here, MRIN, my great idea to cover in this area, turned out to be true so far, because I'd be holding for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 more minutes and be a little down on my position. Where did I enter? Oh no, I'd be up on my position, but it's just not worth it to sit through this. You know, you took your profits, you got your opportunity, just get out. You know, that's what the lesson here is. So thanks for watching, everyone. I really hope you liked it, and I'm really glad that we got that live trade on video. If you like this, leave a like or a comment. Let me know how I should improve future videos, or what you liked about this, etc. So again, thank you for watching, and stay tuned. I still have that crazy video coming up.